Welcome to the Omnic recap, where every Sunday we look back at what happened during the past week in Overwatch. While this might be a short video, not that much actually happened this week. We have a few interesting weeks ahead, since we're less than a month away from the Winter Wonderland event, and I'll talk more about that in next week's video, so make sure to subscribe. For this week, I'll be talking about the Cassidy challenge, and about the lore that came with that event. Mainly what it tells us about the future of the game, because there are some interesting facts in there, trust me. But more about that in a minute. First, there was another small tidbit of news. John Spector, the VP for Overwatch Esports, stepped down from that position. He's not going far though, as he will become the commercial leader for Overwatch. His role as the lead of the Overwatch League will be taken over by Sean Miller, the senior business operations manager. This is the third time in the league's 4 seasons that we see someone new taking the helm. The last 2 seasons have not been easy, with the pandemic hitting everybody, the kind of rough switch to YouTube, and the overall interest in Overwatch and the Overwatch League being at a bit of a low. Next April, the 2022 season of the Overwatch League will be kicked off and played on an early build of Overwatch 2. That is going to be interesting. If it's going to be enough, who knows? Now back in Overwatch 1, the Cassidy NOOB challenge started. This was that big story arc that they had hoped to release in September, but had to postpone due to the McCree Cassidy name change. As with every challenge, you can win a spray, an icon, and an epic skin by winning 9, 18, or 27 games. Every win counts as 2 games. On top of that, there's 6 more exclusive sprays that you can earn by watching Overwatch streamers, much like myself. I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays on twitch.tv/DamesisTV. Come join us and bring some popcorn. Now, this challenge does not celebrate the name change. Like I said, it was actually planned before they decided to change the name. Last week, it was still pretty unclear what type of lore was going to be tied into this challenge. But now, we do know. It is a new series of Overwatch comics published by Dark Horse Comics. If the previous series, London Calling, is any indication, we'll most likely get a chapter every single month. Well, give or take. But since they had to postpone the release, it might also kind of decide to speed things up. But it is pretty unlikely. Now, before I dive into the comic and what that tells us about the future of Overwatch and Overwatch 2, a bit of a spoiler warning. If you have not read the comics, what are you doing? It takes like a whole 6 minutes. Pause the video, go read the comics, and come back. We'll wait for you. All right, welcome back. Wait, you have something on your cheek. Yeah, a little higher. Almost? Yeah, you got it. So about the comics. First off, up till now, we have not gotten an explanation on why McCree changed his name to Cassidy or the other way around. But that might still happen in one of the future chapters. This series takes place after Cassidy released Echo's husk from that container in the reunion short that we got to see 2 years ago. He uploads and activates her and then takes his leave, stating that Overwatch needs her and that he will not be joining since he has a few things to take care of. In this first chapter, we learn what those few things are. He got a note that asked him to come down to Cairo, which kind of explains the Cairo in the backdrop of all the New Blood art. It turns out that that note came from Anna. Yeah, makes sense. She wanted to talk to him because of the recall. Since Winston pushed that button, Talon has been doing their best to find and eliminate former Overwatch operatives, which is a bad thing. Something is coming, something big, and she knows. He knows. Everybody knows. Now, she herself will not be going back to Overwatch, as she feels it's time for her and her generation to step down. But she has a new crew in mind, and she wants McCree to lead them. On the screen in her hideout, we can see Farah, Diva, and Zarya. 3 characters that we have been playing for years, but in the lore, those 3 heroes are just doing their own thing. They're not part of Overwatch. For now, Hannah hands over all the data that she has on Talon, and she sends off McCree to find his first recruit, her own daughter, Farah, which we'll read more about in the next chapter. These comics are, much as I predicted in last week's video, making the bridge between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2. In Overwatch 1, we looked back in history and learned how Blackwatch went off the rails and ended up being the downfall of Overwatch on a whole. How the old generation was kind of forced to go into hiding. And now, a new generation of heroes, led by the rookies of that previous generation, generation will bring Overwatch back to fight Talon and Null Sector. It kind of feels like Avengers. The first generation of Avengers are that lost or playing Fortnite, so it's time for a new generation to step up. Like I said, episode 2 will be about Farah. That much we know. Episode 3 will most likely be Zarya, if the panels in Anna's hideout are any indication. And lastly, Cole will travel to Busan to try and recruit Diva. That's going to be chapter 4. So either chapter 5 is going to be a confrontation with Talon, with them teaming up again with Winston and the crew. Or, and this is the one I'm really hoping for, they'll introduce a completely unknown hero. What if this series of comics is just a build-up to introduce a new hero for Overwatch 2? We already know about Sojourn, and for as far as we know, she's always been a part of Overwatch, so there's no need to recruit her. Characters like the Junker Queen, much like Junkrat and Roadhog, will keep doing their own thing, so I don't see him recruiting her either. But what about the Fox girl that they teased with the release of Kanazeka? You know, the daughter of those weaponsmiths. It makes sense. And when he brings her in with the rest of the Overwatch team, and she sees Genji, we got a conflict. Why did you abandon us? Why do you have wires coming out of your you know, that kind of stuff. I can't wait to find out. All I can say, my friends, is that the road to Overwatch 2 has officially started. They are slowly steering us away from the old towards the new lore. And I'm excited, even if the game is at an all-time low when it comes to meaningful updates. But I'm not going to start that rant again. Because for now, my friends, that was it. Thank you very much for watching. See you during one of my streams or in the next video. Bye-bye. But since they had to postpone the release,